What's going on, everybody? Today I have a super cool car to go pick up. It's been sitting since like the 80s, I believe. We're gonna bring it back to the shop, see if we can get it running, see if it's missing any parts, see if we can get it all put back together, and then yeah, get it running, driving, and bring it back over to the family that owns it so they can figure out what they want to do with it as far as like suspension or paint, maybe interior, and pretty much just go from there. But today we're just gonna pick it up, bring it back to the shop, and then we'll probably dig into it tomorrow and start working on it and see if we can get this thing running. Squeeze back here with the trailer. Get the bumper off. There's a bunch of spider webs under it. It's all there. Well, here it is, 1963 Impala SS, two-door. For the most part, it looks all complete. Missing taillight lenses and whatnot. Bumper's off, but we do have it. The car overall is pretty straight. Doesn't need any major body work or anything. Little humdinger right there in the trim. But this thing looks freaking cool.
How long has this been sitting here? Probably 10 years now, huh?
Oh, in here?
Yeah.
When we put up the new carport.
Oh, but like over in under that carport?
It was under the tree.
Oh yeah.
It was under the tree for like 10 years or so.
Is that tree gone?
Yeah. We had the tree trimmers cut it.
I forget about that big tree.
Let's see, where's
Sorry.
the faucet? Where's the faucet?
You're good.
It's rolling.
Rolling by itself now.
You want to kind of feed that rope back?
Yeah, this thing's not nearly as long as that Cadillac. It's definitely got a good smell in here. Not really a good way to grab it. Yeah, it's hard to get a grip on there to. So we're gonna say, yep, motor's free. Got a good layer of mud in here, but it doesn't look like it's rotted.
Good.
But it's wet and muddy.
That's not good. Means it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Okay, you got 3 inches before the bumper touches.
Okay.
So
We're on all the way to the back.
yeah, I mean, I think that's good. If we want. Nah, I don't. I think we're good there.
Got a long drive.
Yeah. Okay.
She ain't going nowhere. All loaded up, ready to head back to the shop. Hopefully we can get there and unload it and get it inside before it's too dark. But man, I'm excited for this thing. This thing is freaking awesome.
Oh, it's an Impala too.
Yeah, Impala SS.
Wow, it was unfortunate. Rick will take a picture of it.
All right, we're back at the shop now. Got the car in here. So let's take a good look at this thing and start digging into it. All right, let's go ahead and get the hood open. I know the springs are wore out, so I gotta use this hood prop here. Put that there for now. Let's take a good look at this thing. So So this thing's got a super basic setup. No power brakes, single circuit, no power steering. Only accessory on here is the alternator and the water pump. And it's got the big block carburetor. Get this out of here. It looks like it takes a 4-barrel carburetor. I'll have to dig through the car and see if we have one for it, or see if we can find one. But everything seems to be there engine-wise, minus the carburetor. Looks like here's our fuel line coming up and it's plugged. And I haven't checked if the motor is free or not, because it has the clutch fan on there, so there wasn't really a quick, easy way to check it. So I might just throw a battery in it and see if it'll crank over. But first, before we dig into that, I want to pull the spark plugs out, get some oil on the cylinders, and maybe get a wrench on there to rotate it over. But at least get the oil in there and let it start soaking. So let's start with that, pull the plugs out and get some oil on these cylinders. Got it vacuumed up. It's still super dirty and nasty, but I don't want to pressure wash it or anything until I get a carb on there and cover the holes. So I'm just going to pull the plugs out, get some oil in the cylinders, and then see if I can find a carburetor we can throw on this thing. Let's get these plug wires off of here. Looks like number 1's already taken off the plug. Don't mind the Amazon reverse beeper going down the driveway. All right, all the cylinders got oil in them now. While those are soaking, I'm going to throw a battery in here and hook the cables up and see if anything doesn't catch on fire or anything bad like that. All right, let's get this big old jumbo battery in there. Out of my old diesel truck. Get the positive over here. Get that on first. Alright, negative. Alrighty, battery's in there. Okay, I'm gonna unplug the coil here from the distributor so we don't get no spark going on over here. And I'm gonna see if this thing will crank over with the key. See what happens. Nothing from the key. We got lights on the dash. Okay, let's hook up our little start button here. Got the positive side on the battery, and then the purple wire over here on the start solenoid. Let's see if we get anything out of that. There it goes, cranks over. All the oil is squirting out of the cylinders. I'm gonna crank it for a second. There we go, spins over smooth. While we're here, we might as well check and see if we have spark. Let me plug this wire back onto the coil. Grab one of our plug wires here. I'll just use this one over here. That one there. I'm gonna go hit the key on so our coil's hot. Nothing. All right, it's worth a shot checking. I'm gonna pull the distributor apart, check out the points, and get that all cleaned up in there. I'm not positive our coil's even hot, so I'm gonna check that real fast, just with the meter. I'm not seeing nothing. Oh, there's 12 right there. This side. 0 on this side. There's 10, 12. So it's got power. Both sides of the coil are hot, so that means the points are connected, which they may not be adjusted. So I'm gonna pull this back off, take a look at that. All right, let's see if we can see the points moving at all to see if they're adjusted right. It's sparking in there a lot. So it's got spark through here, but that doesn't mean it's getting through the wires. Or it could just be these super dirty plugs. I'm gonna clean up a little spot right here for ground. Poor ground could be our problem the whole time, so might as well eliminate it. If I can get this on there and stay there. It's got spark. So I'm guessing the poor ground was our issue the whole time. So there we go, we got spark on there. Let's try to throw together a carburetor and bolt that on here and see if this thing won't fire up. Okay, the owner of the car brought me over this carburetor and it looks pretty clean. He said it was rebuilt back in the day and never ran. So I'm gonna just take a look at it, clean it out, spray it out, make sure it's all good, and then throw it up there on the manifold and hook some fuel to it and see if it'll work. Just gonna get the carburetor cleaned out here. It's all full of cobwebs and dust. The less junk we can get inside the motor, the better, because the intake manifold looks pretty clean for the way they had it secured up there. Let's get this gasket off of here. I don't believe we need all these gaskets stacked up. This one's still pretty soft, so it will probably get the job done. Go ahead and set this carburetor on there. And go see if we can find some nuts for this thing. Alright, I dug all through the shop. I was able to find a couple nuts to fit on this thing. So let's get this thing fastened down here real quick. Alright, spark plugs are back in, wires are on. I have the key on. I didn't hook up the linkage over here because it doesn't really matter right now. We have the linkage here. But I'm gonna shoot some fuel in there and see if it'll fire off. There we go, we got something. It's definitely cranking a lot slower with the spark plugs back in there. This battery's pretty tired. Not bad. Alrighty, well, we got a runner. Well, that's a huge step right there, knowing this motor works and it's not junk, so that's a good jump in the right direction, so we can move forward with cleaning it up and making it look good and replacing a bunch of the necessities like vacuum lines, fuel lines, coolant hoses, heater hoses, and spark plug wires, everything like that. All the maintenance stuff to get this thing back on the road. But I think that's pretty cool for now. Just like 2 hours or so spent on it, just tinkering around. Got it to at least fire up. But I'll be back out here probably tomorrow night to mess with this thing a little bit more. It's getting pretty late now, so I think I'll call it quits for tonight. But that's freaking awesome hearing this thing run for the first time. Well, we're back out here in the shop now. I got gas can hooked up to the fuel pump, then over to the carburetor. But the starter is giving me issues now. Not wanting to start. So I'm gonna push this thing forward, get it up on the rack, and then take a look at that starter and see if I can just clean it out. Maybe the windings are getting stuck or something like that. Looks like we got some oil leak in here. Or that could be a bunch of stuff we spilled as well from the ATF we put in the cylinders. It looks like it does have a canister oil filter, not a spin-on, which is a good thing I checked because I almost ordered just the regular small block Chevy filter. Looks like the tranny's leaking pretty good. A little bit of oil back here. And the fuel tank looks pretty good. So the fuel tank's been gone through before and coated, so I assume it's pretty clean in there. But I'll put some fuel in and drain it just to see how it looks in there and see if I can get a light inside the tank. But from the looks of it, it looks like it'll be pretty good. Got the rear suspension here. It's got the coilovers and the springs. And the trailing arm setup. Not bad. I don't see any rot or crazy rust on the body or anything like that. This thing looks super solid, which is really good. Yeah, no rot on the floors, no rot on the rockers under here. This thing looks really solid. This is a good car to put some money into and make it nice. This will be an awesome car when it's done. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna dig into the starter real quick. Looks like these screws up here are flatheads. Alright, got the unbolted. I gotta figure out how to get this out of the way. Pull it out of there. I think it should just slide out of there. There we go. Oh, this thing's nasty in there. Spring. And there's our plunger. There we go. Yeah, this thing is pretty toasted in there. This top disc is all chewed up. The brass is all melted on it. Yeah, that edge right here, inside here, the contact, It's cut down super far on there. Okay, I found another old GM starter in the back. I'm gonna see if I can take this one apart and get some parts out of it. See if anything's worth saving out of here to try to fix the other one before we go buy another starter. And this one's got a different style contact in there. But I can probably switch the contact from one to the other. So I'm gonna see if I can do that. So this one has like a 2-piece on there. You see the one that's been used, and then you flip it and you have a new one. Got a plunger piece in there. Then our top cap. Pull that out. And this just slides right over the top. Alright, there we go. And that's back on there. There we go. Got these two flathead screws, go back in here, hold the solenoid to the starter. Well, after some cranking on it, I got it to fire up and run for a second, and then I started hearing some dripping, so I threw this pan down. But it looks like this tranny line right here, the tranny cooler line, has a crack in it. And once it ran long enough to build pressure, it started leaking out of there. So I'm gonna see if I can find some tranny lines, or maybe just get some universal line and build some new ones. That's pretty inconvenient, but it was bound to happen, and I'd rather it happen right now than after the car is on the road driving. Alright, I'm gonna pull these lines off, see if I can get new lines made, see if I have enough stuff here at the shop to do it, or figure something out at least to be able to move the car in and out for now. So let that soak for a second, and then I'll pull those fittings off and hopefully not break the lines more. So today I was pretty much just trying to get this thing to run off the gas can so I can pull it outside and wash it and go over it and all that. But things seem to not go in my favor. Now I got more stuff to fix before I can do what I wanted to do. Alright, got that one disconnected. It looks like it's just a regular double flare. So I'm gonna go check and see if I have some tubing. I'll just make a new line real quick. Alright, I wasn't able to find any tubing, but I just pulled the hose out to see if I can see where it's broken, and there's a nice long flat spot right here. There's a nice long flat spot, and it's cracked right along it from where it was rattling on the subframe. But instead of making a new one, because I don't have tubing right now, I'm just going to cut it here and cut it here, run a piece of rubber hose with clamps, because I have some trans cooler hose. So that'll work for now, and then we'll make some nice proper lines down the road. There we go. Now the other side. I'm just gonna go past the crack. There we go. We get these ends cleaned up on the wire wheel and then throw a hose on there and put these lines back in. All right, got our hose put back together on there. So that should work for now. That'll get us moving and hopefully not leaking. Got the line hooked back up. There's our hose piece going over the subframe, and then it comes back over here. So that'll work. Now let's get this thing back down and check the fluid on it and start cranking on it and see if I can get it to fire up. I'm gonna get some water in this thing so it's not completely dry, and then fire it up and see how she idles. If I can get it to idle and run a bit, we'll probably see if it'll move and pull it out behind the shop and get the pressure washing. There we go, she's idling. Not bad. Right on. Barely has any brakes. No throttle linkage hooked up. But I'm gonna see if I can get this thing turned and parked sideways because it's so long it takes up like the whole parking lot out here. So cool to see this thing running again. Let's break out the pressure washer, start going to town on this thing and see if we can get it cleaned up a bit. Just noticed this little pinhole in the radiator spraying water out. Well, it looks like the radiator is going to come out and go to the shop to get cleaned up and fixed. Well, I got it all washed up, thing cleaned up pretty good. I ended up using some of my soap that I use on the go-karts and dirt bikes and stuff, because it's a little bit stronger. It doesn't have any wax in it or anything, so that worked pretty good to clean it up. Now let's get in the engine bay and pressure wash in here. All right, now we're gonna throw on some sweet patina sauce, just to give this thing a little darker look, almost like it's wet, but not quite as shiny as like a clear coat. Just makes it look a lot better and helps protect it from fading even more from what it already has. Well, I only had enough patina sauce to do the roof and the whole back half of the car. And you can see the difference from the front door not being done and the back quarter being done. This adds way more depth to the color, makes it look super good. And it lasts quite a while, but you can apply as much as you want to get it shinier and shinier. But I usually just do one coat like this just to darken it up a little bit. Huge difference from this to that. Looks freaking good. Well, while the battery's charging and the patina sauce on there is curing up, we'll just clean out the interior, go through everything that's in there and separate it from junk and stuff to keep and whatnot. And I already see a bunch of aftermarket parts in there. So let's start getting this interior cleaned out and see what we got. Got some finned valve covers. This looks like it's just a bunch of chrome parts for the engine and tranny. We got an Edelbrock Performer intake manifold. This is a torque converter. This looks like all the bolts for the rear bumper. I'm gonna go put all these in the chem dip and let them soak for a bit and try to clean them up. Just finished getting all the stuff out of the interior and the trunk. The trunk is pretty rusty, but it doesn't look like there's any rot, just surface rust. But what I did find is the factory hubcaps, some headlight bezels, and the taillight lenses. Taillights are only missing one of the chrome covers, and we have 3 of the 4 headlight trims, so almost a complete. And then also the hood trim. Just finished cleaning it all out, vacuumed it, wiped everything down, got it as clean as I could. Looks pretty good. And then the floor over on this side was all soaking wet and the carpet was tearing, so I pulled the carpet up the floor, vacuumed out all the mud and water that was there. Hopefully it'll dry out. I'll probably spray some WD-40 or something on there just to prevent it from holding the moisture. Got our fuel tank topped back off, put the air filter on there, And the battery's been charging this whole time, so it should be good to go now. I'll put it in here, see if it fires up, and I'll try to drive this thing down to the stop sign over there and back with the little amount of brakes that we have. So let's go ahead and throw this battery in here. All right, battery's in. Okay. There we go. Now we're running. That battery is just so shot, and these wirings don't have the greatest connections, so it's just causing issues. I just killed it because I noticed we're leaking fuel really bad coming out of the fitting up here. Okay, now what do we get to fix? My guess is it's leaking from this O-ring right here that's not actually supposed to be there. It's supposed to be a crush washer, but that's all I had. So let me see if I can find something to fix that so we can get rid of that O-ring. Alright, I had another Edelbrock in the box still, so I took the washer out of there. Let's loosen this fuel line. I'm surprised that worked as long as it did, because that's not what's supposed to be there. That's just all I thought of at the time. It's supposed to have this little crush washer. There we go, we're not leaking no more. Close the hood and take this thing down the street and back. We'll take her slow because I couldn't get the hood to shut all the way. And who knows the condition of these tires, so I'm not trying to go too fast. We're driving. These tires definitely feel like they're out around. or the suspension is just that blown that it's super bouncy in the front. Don't want it to die. It almost just died right there. Alright, I had to throw the camera down to U-turn. Back on the road. See if we can make it back to the shop. Luckily it's all downhill. Speedo's kind of working. Brakes. There we go. Back in park. Let's go pop the hood open and see what we got going on. Well, there we go. It's idling a little high, but at least it's idling. Our fuel tank is still here. Well, that was super cool, getting to drive this thing. Got a few things we gotta go through and figure out, like this leak right here. And tune on the carburetor a bit, set the timing, fix all the vacuum leaks, get the right size battery for this thing, probably a new battery so I don't have to keep jumping it. And then hook the fuel lines back up to the tank after I check if the tank's clean and all that. Probably do the plug wires, plugs, get the stuff for the oil change, and probably every coolant hose and everything else on this thing just to get it right. We've got new tires on the way for it. We've got thin whites for it, and I'll get those on Monday, as well as get these caps polished up and put back on. But that'll all be Monday, and today's Saturday. I'd like to get the video done and ready to upload tomorrow, so you guys have something to watch on Monday. So the new tires and the hubcaps and all that may not be in this video, but they'll for sure be in the next video. And I don't know how much more we're gonna do into this video, but the next one will for sure be going through all the maintenance stuff on the motor, putting the wheels and tires on, finishing, getting it all detailed up and cleaned, and then do some proper driving in it and see how it goes. There she is. We just took her for a lap around the neighborhood. Still leaking coolant pretty good, but runs pretty good. We definitely got to tune up on the carburetor and just go through everything, get it right, so we can just have that peace of mind when we're driving it. I think that'll pretty much conclude this video. Thank you guys for checking it out. I hope you guys are excited for this car as much as I am, and the family who owns it, because this thing's gonna be sweet once it's back on the road and driving. Well, thank you guys for tuning in and checking this one out. It was a ton of fun doing it. I got tons of work ahead of me for this one and the Plymouth and the shop truck. I got work to do. So I'll be busy shooting videos and having fun. But thanks again. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in the next video.